Hello, this is Maya Andreasen, and today I am going to show you how you can take these simple shapes and you can make them look like they are trees, or rather the leaves that you find on trees. So what we're going to do is we are going to use paint effects to do so. So the first thing we need to do is we need to open our paint effects library. In order to do that, you need to go to Window, General Editors, Content Browser. And the content browser is where you will find paint effects, and here they are. Right here, paint effects. And there's a lot of different paint effects. We're gonna have to look around. I'm gonna go to plants and see if I see any leaves. So there's pine cones, lettuce, leafy twigs, let's see, wax beans, flowering peas, that looks promising. We also have plant meshes. I think the shrub mesh might work. So we're going to experiment around until we find the right thing. We also have ivy. So first thing I want to do is select one of these objects that I created. Make sure you've laid out the UVs to them beforehand. If not, you might have some issues with how the paint effects lay on the object. And then I'm going to put this around so I can see most of the objects in my window. Next thing I need to do is I need to go to my paint effects section. It should be under generate. So I'm in the modeling menu, and if you go to generate, you can put this little double dotted line up here, and this will open the generate window. And you will see there's a whole paint effects section. So the first thing I need to do in order to paint on an object is to make it paintable. So under paint effects, with your object selected, click make paintable. All right, so this should be paintable. We shall see. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the shrub brush here. And as you can see, I have a little red dot and a pencil. Let's hit B. So if I press down on B on my keyboard and don't let go, and left mouse press simultaneously and drag, then that's going to open up my brush tool. Now that is way too big of a paintbrush, or a brush is not what I'm looking for. Let's see what ivy looks like. What I'm really looking for are just leaves. So this is giving me a little bit more of what I want, but not quite. So you can always hit Control Z or just Z to undo. So I like ivy. But I feel like there's a better brush out there for me. So let's see. We have a bladder fern. We have bushes. Let's see what bushes does. Literally grows bushes. That's cute. This one might work. So right now it doesn't look like anything. In order to see what this looks like, we're going to need to go to our render settings, and we need to go to render in Maya software just to get a really quick preview of what this looks like. So that looks like ferns. So going to try to undo, if it will let me. If it doesn't, there's no problem. You can just select the stroke and hit delete, and then it'll be gone. So if you're having issues, let's try ground cover. All right, so ground cover I like a lot, and I think that's the one that I'm actually going to go with. I like how ground cover is. Now, this brush could be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to hit B and scale it up. What I like to try to do is make this just do one brush to cover everything. That doesn't always work. The more brushes you have, the more memory it's going to use. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now the other thing that you can do, which is pretty cool, is you can combine these brushes. So I have, let's minimize this. So this is the stroke ground cover. You just want to remember that. I'm going to minimize this. So right now we have 4 strokes, and I'm going to select all 4 of them. And over here under our generate section and under paint effects, I'm going to make these one brush. So this option is here. And here it is, share one brush. And I'm going to click share one brush. It appears that nothing has happened, but it has. So if I go to stroke ground cover and I go to my attributes editor and go to my ground cover 1 tab, this is my global scale. So if this worked the way I wanted it to, I should be able to make this bigger or smaller, and it should affect all of the strokes simultaneously. And indeed it did. So I hit 10, and all of these strokes are affected the same way. I could hit 5, and they'd all be made smaller. So now we can go and we can play around with some of these other round solids. So I'm going to go to generate and make paintable. And we'll go here to our content browser and select ground cover again. Sometimes you have to double click so you can get the brush. We're just going to go through and we're going to paint away. Now all of this is fairly small because my brush is at 5. All right, that's what my brush is at right now in terms of size. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint, and I'm going to make all of these brushes basically one brush in the end. So I'm going to hit Q for my select. I'm going to select the next solid, and I'm going to go to generate, make paintable. We're just repeating the process. Double click on ground cover and paint away. I'm just using my mouse right now, but of course you can also use a Wacom tablet or just a tablet in general. It doesn't have to specifically be Wacom. All right. Now if this was all one object, I could have just done the one object, right? All right, so we have 2 more. So hit Q, select this object and make it paintable. With my content browser, double click on ground cover and paint away. You'll see there's a couple bold patches. But the thing that we have to remember is we are going to make these all a lot bigger. They're going to share one brush, and they're going to be huge. All right, we'll select the last one, generate, make paintable, and content browser, double click on ground cover, and here we go. Oopsie. You can see things are starting to get a little bogged down. So you actually don't want to go too crazy with this. I mean, if this could be all one object, it would probably be a lot better. All right, so I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to go back to generate and share one brush. And as you can see, it automatically gets bigger now that it's sharing the one brush. And we're going to go back to ground cover 1. And so if we did this at 10, it makes everything a lot bigger. So we basically got a tree here. And if I were to render this out really quickly, using Maya software, this is what it looks like. Okay. Now, if you want to render this using RenderMan or something like this, you are going to have to convert these. And that's where things can get a little hairy, so to speak. And you'll increase your polys a lot. So you have to be careful about that. But the way you would convert these to polys is you would go to Modify, Convert, and you would find Paint Effects. So you can convert them to NURBS, curves, and polygons. I'm going to go Paint Effects to Polygons, Options box. This is going to open up. And let's do Edit, Reset Settings. Let's reset the settings. We By default, it's at 100,000. So if not enough polys are generated, you will see less polys appear. So if I do this, it looks like we covered it pretty well. So we're just going to go through and we can apply. Now the other thing is you can apply a quad output. So I can undo what I did. I can hit quad output if I want to, and I can hit apply. We'll just go through and apply. Let's see. Let's do 8. 9. I don't know if I did 7. 10. 11. 12. And 13. So all of these are converted. And as you can see, they all have groups of meshes in here. All right. You can select all of these also, and you can delete their history. And so we should be able to get rid of the original ones now. All right, let's see if the color transferred. And it did. So as you can see, we can still see the color. So these are now polygons, but they are still polygons that have color applied to them. All right, so now we have what started off as 5 platonic solids, and we gave them leaves very, very quickly. All right, till next time.